Well, unfortunately, the weather just wouldn't last, just wouldn't wait for 7 more days. If we would just wait until after Memorial Weekend, I promise I will be on here more regularly. If I could say that, that would be great, but I can't. But at any rate, we do have some severe weather on the forecast, or in the forecast for Tuesday. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that now. So first, we're going to kind of take a look at what's going on already here Monday night. And of course, we've had some severe weather across southern parts of Minnesota with a severe thunderstorm watch kind of extending down into Iowa. We've also had some severe thunderstorm down across far southeastern parts of South Dakota, right around Sioux City, Iowa, where we've been getting reports of golf ball sized hail through the early parts of tonight down in that region. Now, the other thing we need to watch as we go through the overnight hours and into the very early parts of Tuesday morning actually is this area back here where we've been getting some tornado warnings through the evening hours. And what we're expecting out of this is it looks like, from what the models are showing, that this should sort of form a line and begin to push to the east, northeast through the overnight hours and into the early parts of Tuesday. While you can't quite see it on the bottom of the screen here, right around 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning is those storms that are going to be pushing into eastern parts of Nebraska and eventually into Iowa as well. Now, out ahead of it, we could have a few strong to severe storms into Iowa and perhaps even into still far southeastern parts of South Dakota through the overnight hours. But it's not really until we get more so around 6, 7 a.m. or so, by the time this little derecho, perhaps, if this does form the way the models are indicating, kind of sweeps across far southeastern parts of South Dakota, kind of in that Sioux City area once again. And still out ahead of it, perhaps a few strong storms still across southern parts of Minnesota in the early morning hours. Again, we're kind of talking in that 6, 7 a.m. time frame. Now, by the time we get to 8 or 9 a.m., perhaps that storm, that line, could make it into far southeastern parts of Minnesota by about, like I said, around that 8 or 9 a.m. time frame. So we could be looking at the potential for some damaging winds early on already Tuesday morning as this little system, this early part, this first little batch moves through our area. But now here's the question throughout the remainder of the day. Is this area here where we already saw some strong to potentially severe storms roll through the morning hours, is that going to have enough time throughout the late morning and afternoon hours to recuperate before the next wave kind of comes in and develops and moves east and northeast through the afternoon and evening hours of Tuesday? Now, the latest HRRR model, the convective model, shows the storms developing more so across Iowa. And while the earlier runs did indicate that the potential for at least more tornadic type of thunderstorms, the more intense type thunderstorms will be to the south into Iowa, they were showing more across southeastern parts of Minnesota through the early afternoon hours. But that has backed off. Now we've got a few storms running across Iowa, perhaps across far southeastern parts of Minnesota by the time we get to 2 or 3 p.m. And then once we get to 4, 5, and 6 p.m., I mean, while we could still have some strong to severe storms down here in the southeast, the latest runs don't make it look quite as intense. Now, not to say that we still don't have the chance for large hail, damaging winds, even a couple of tornadoes down there. The trend over the last couple of runs has backed off a little bit from the intensity, from the severity of it. Now, just to take a look at a different model here, we're looking at the NAM 3-kilometer, again, kind of showing those storms rolling across Iowa through the early morning hours. Not quite as intense as it reaches southeastern parts of Minnesota. This is around noon, 1, 2, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. And again, most of the stronger intense storms are actually down here into Iowa, but we still have some strong to potentially severe storms rolling across southern parts of Minnesota by 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, some of these stronger storms, or some of these storms, could be severe, still with large hail, damaging winds, perhaps a couple of tornadoes as well. But we're still looking at the better potential, at least the more likelihood areas remaining south. But we still have to pay attention to this region, especially as we go into the afternoon hours on Tuesday. Now, the latest from the Storm Prediction Center does have us in an enhanced risk here across southeastern parts of Minnesota. Further down across the southeastern parts of Iowa is actually a moderate risk of severe storms. And you can see, based on what we were showing you just a little bit ago, how those more intense storms are expected to ride across southern parts of the region later in the afternoon. But nevertheless, we are in enhanced and through here, slight risk across a good part of southeastern parts of Minnesota, including the Twin Cities area and that Sioux City area, South Dakota as well. And then just a marginal risk reaching beyond Duluth and kind of clipping Alexandria, perhaps Sioux Falls, and down to Yankton as well, and points southeast of there. So a few of these storms in through here, you might see isolated strong to severe storms reaching areas that far north. Now, when we look at the tornado potential, of course, they're still pointing most of it down across Iowa. We do have that 5 and 2% chance reaching once again across southeastern parts of Minnesota. We'll see if that changes at all once we get to the morning hours. But for now, that's kind of where the Storms Prediction Center is, I guess, pointing to, at least for that potential for a few tornadic storms. Hail is going to be a big threat across Iowa through the morning and again in the afternoon hours, as well as the wind. We're going to be concerned with perhaps maybe not just one derecho, but maybe even two, one in the morning and then one developing later in the afternoon. So again, that wind, the damaging wind, is really going to be a concern as we get into Tuesday. Now, one other thing to mention with this system is the amount of rainfall. So with these severe storms, obviously we're able to draw just a ton of moisture up and into this particular system. So we're really going to get a lot of rain across the north part of this storm system. And we're really looking at the potential of seeing 3 to perhaps 5 inches of rain across northern parts of Minnesota through the day Tuesday and going on into Wednesday. We're kind of backing this off. If some of you were kind of wondering as far as timing for rain goes, this is 7 a.m. This is noon on Tuesday. This is 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening. And then we get to midnight and we get to 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. So just to kind of give you an idea for some of you farmers out there who are still looking to plant, obviously there's plenty of you out there, but just to give you an idea at least of what the timing looks like for some of this rain moving through your region. And of course, as I said, some of these areas could pick up 2, 3, perhaps even 5 inches of rain, particularly right through central and north central and on into northeastern parts of Minnesota with the storm system. So flooding could be a concern in some areas, so that will also need to be watched as we go throughout the day Tuesday and on into Tuesday night. Now, beyond that, as we get into Wednesday and Thursday here, we've got a few more storms perhaps rolling through on Thursday. Again, some of these could be strong to severe. We're going to have to see. It's been interesting. A few of these models have been trying to paint some wintry type precipitation in with this little system that rolls across Thursday on into Friday. We'll see how that turns out, but for now we'll just kind of mention the possibility at least of some strong to severe storms going into Thursday. And then once again, as we get to Thursday night and into Friday, perhaps some more showers and storms. Maybe a little mix of precipitation still in the morning, Friday morning, up into northeastern and north central parts of North Dakota. We'll see how that all pans out. Then as we get into Friday night and Saturday, actually Saturday looks to be not too bad. So if you've got a graduation open house, Saturday's probably going to be the day to do it for most of you across our area. Once we get into Sunday, we've got another little system that wants to move across to some rain across North Dakota and parts of South Dakota, and then on into Minnesota on Sunday. And then also for your Memorial Monday, perhaps some storms across the far southern parts of Minnesota. Now, wouldn't you know it, beyond that, I want some quieter weather. I've been wanting it to just wait until after Memorial Weekend for the severe storms to come. And it looks like after Memorial Weekend, things kind of dry up just a little bit, the way the models are indicating at this moment. So be sure to check out tomorrow. I'm going to have the stream up throughout the day, the live stream, and be sure to watch the comments section. I'll monitor it. Scott said he'll be monitoring that as well. Like I said, I've got to get through this week. I won't be able to be on camera. I won't be able to watch the chat closely entirely throughout the day. But once we get through this week, beyond that, then I'll be able to do it much more regularly. I'll be able to watch it and pay more attention to the severe weather. So for tomorrow, I will have the live stream up. Be sure to check out the chat if you have any questions. All right, everybody, for Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody, have a good day.